Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our presentation, Go for Gold, Capture Richer Insights with Video. In today's presentation, we will be sharing the most effective strategies for incorporating video into your research projects. My name is Ashley Wolf, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at FuelCycle, and I'm very excited to have you with us all today. So before we start and really get into the meat of today's presentation, I do have a few housekeeping items. So if you have any questions at any time throughout today's presentation, please feel free to submit them in either the question or chat box inside the GoToWebinar interface, and then I will catalog them throughout and come back to them at the end of the presentation. And today's webinar should take about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we will go into a Q&A session where our presenters will be able to answer any questions you might have. So with that, I would like to introduce our presenters. Rick is FuelCycle's Vice President of Products and Research. He is our in-house expert on insights and customer experience, and he has spent most of his career in the market research industry, working closely with clients and operations teams to ensure clients' needs are met. Thank you for joining us today, Rick.
Yeah, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. And then I'm very excited to introduce Dave, because this is the first time we're actually speaking with him on a webinar. And he is an entrepreneur specializing in high growth tech businesses and a video insight evangelist with global ambitions for growth and adventure. As CEO at VoxMont.me, he has redefined the possibilities of video for market research and customer feedback. Thank you for joining us today, Dave.
Thanks, Ashley. Really looking forward to sharing some of this today with Rick as well.
Wonderful. Well, now that I've introduced everybody, let's jump into today's presentation. And with that, I will turn it over to Rick.
Sounds good. Ashley, thank you so much for the introduction, and everyone who's joined us from Europe, from Asia, and from North America. Really appreciate the time you carved out of your day to speak with or to listen to Dave and I. It's an exciting presentation. We're really very happy about this partnership. I guess, Dave, it's Valentine's Day here, so I think it's probably a good day to talk about partnerships and video, which we all love. I think the theme of this presentation is Olympics as well, so we'll probably end up mixing a few metaphors as we go along today. But you know, really, just to kind of level set for people who aren't familiar with FuelCycle or VoxMont.me, FuelCycle is an online research community platform. You know, working primarily with enterprises in like the Fortune 5,000 category to help deliver a lot of research that spans like the entire research lifecycle, from product development to customer experience to go-to-market strategy and more. And VoxMont.me is an agile video insights platform. And obviously, we're going to be talking about our partnership, a little bit about the integration, but really, like the goal today is to help market researchers and customer experience professionals like you to become more effective in your roles and to be able to move insights forward in your organization. And so, really, what that really comes down to is storytelling in general. You can see the quote here. Stories constitute the single most powerful weapon in a leader's arsenal. And storytelling is really, really effective when done well. And I think that, in many cases, market researchers have for a long time, relied on on data and, significance testing and, clear directional results to make points with the other people in the organization. But recently, we've seen a transition into an era of big data, right? So we have volumes and volumes of data. And gathering survey data is relatively inexpensive. Gathering operational data is very inexpensive. And so, a large corpus of data is not an issue anymore. And executives really are looking for increased storytelling capabilities. And I think this is why in the latest GRIT report, that's the Green Book Research Industry Trends Report, it's a semi-annual survey that goes out to market research practitioners, asked respondents about the importance of storytelling. And in that survey, 82% of respondents said that storytelling was important or very important for new market research practitioners to do, and be able to craft stories that are effective and help penetrate the organization and create change inside an organization. And when it comes to video, the ability of video to influence storytelling. Maybe if we jump to the next slide forward here. Video is becoming even, ever more present in the enterprise. Several years ago, video was still had to be professionally produced. It was hard to capture, but in the era of smartphones and ubiquitous computing platforms, we know that video has become cheaper to produce, easier to capture, and more enterprises are using video inside their business. And perhaps an interesting stat here is that the majority of senior executives at large enterprises would almost rather watch video than read a text-based alternative. And I think there's a combination of data, storytelling, the visual stimuli that really makes that an effective mechanism. So, and the reason behind that is because many modern leaders are faced with a lot of information, limited time to move through large body of data, and lots of decisions, lots of people pulling at their coattails, trying to help them make decisions. I think the goal of most market research practitioners and customer experience professionals is to influence C-suite decisions. And one of those, recently the Boston Consulting Group has done interesting research on what makes effective research groups, effective customer insights or consumer insights groups. One of those things that the Boston Consulting Group reports that makes a group effective is their ability to storytell and to influence C-suite decisions. And so if market researchers and customer experience practitioners want to better influence corporate decisions and strategic decisions, they need to be better at storytelling, and perhaps there's no better way to do that than by using video. Dave, over to you.
Perfect. Yeah, Rick, thanks for that. And what I want to do now is talk a little bit about kind of why, as VoxBotMe, we chose to invest all of our time in the medium of video. And it really falls down to these six kind of areas. Firstly, depth. What we found is when participants, consumers respond to any question via video versus the kind of the same kind of question asked and being required to respond via a kind of text-based input, you get far more depth. Typically, the video response is 6 to 8 times longer than the traditional text open-end response. So you're kind of automatically getting that kind of richer, deeper response. And because they give you that depth, you're also kind of getting context alongside it. As they're talking through their response, just naturally they become more conversational. They become the storyteller. They one thought prompts another thought, and they kind of tell you so much more. So depth and context are absolutely like key drivers behind this. But there's other reasons as well. Authenticity. In the era we live in, how do you kind of truly understand? Who are these people behind the numbers? Who are these storytellers? So being able to bring those people to life with real video also adds kind of authenticity and credibility to the research and to the story. And then finally, video is multidimensional. Unlike a text box, which is just what the person's typed in, we see emotion, and that can be detected and measured in a number of different ways. From what's their face telling us, what's their facial expressions, what is their tone of voice. We can hear and see sarcasm and things like that as well. So being able to kind of have that authenticity coupled with that rich emotion, and that's another key thing. Rick talked about, we have data in abundance now, and the thing is, when we think about how we rationalize decisions and how we make decisions, different stakeholders have different thought processes. Some of them are very much purely driven by the numbers. That it's just they're going to make every decision based on their numbers. But if we think about our lives, that's not really how we a lot of us go about making decisions. We trust our emotions. We make connections and stuff. So we see video not only because of this being able to influence even further, because people make an emotional connection with that if they believe it more, and because of the depth, the context, the authenticity, and the emotion, ultimately that those combined allow us to tell stories that are more impactful, they are more memorable, and ultimately it's the job of the insights function is to influence the C-suite to make improvements, to drive action. So we really see that as a key thing that video does. So with all of that in mind, we recently launched our partnership with Fuel Cycle, which we're really kind of excited about as a leading player in that community space. It was exciting for us to kind of combine our technology with their great platform, which provides people the opportunity to run lots of different insight studies. So today I wanted to kind of not just tell you about video and why it's great, but kind of show you how easy it is. Because one of the biggest barriers to video historically has been it's a huge pain point. It's difficult to analyze. It's complicated to share. I've got 300 videos. What am I supposed to do with that data? I haven't got time to sit down and watch every video. I really want to be able to tell rich stories, but how am I condensing, these 300 videos into a great story? And even when I have gone through it manually and tagged the clips and worked out what I need to find, like I've then got to turn that into some kind of video editing. Spend my weekend snipping these clips together. So what VoxBot.me really focused on was reducing that friction on the analysis of video and the sharing of video. And I want to talk a bit about that. Before I do that, do you want to just share a little bit about how this kind of fits nicely within Fuel Cycle from a capture perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So, real quick, the context for this and the motivation behind the partnership is that Fuel Cycle's, we saw a lot of video being uploaded to the Fuel Cycle platform and Fuel Cycle communities, and it was very hard to analyze. And so, like Dave mentioned, that there was it's kind of a cumbersome process where we see like a diary study be completed, and maybe we have 50, 60 responses to a video diary, and the process of going through and methodically organizing that information was really challenging, and hence the motivation for a partnership with VoxBot.me. So enabling VoxBot.me for a Fuel Cycle research project within our platform is very simple. We have a deep integration at the API level, and so essentially all you have to do is check a box, and you're set from a research perspective to gather video. And then community members are able to upload video, whether it's on the web, on their desktop, inside of one of Fuel Cycle's mobile apps, or just from a mobile browser. They can capture video and easily upload it and share it with you, and have it automatically sent to VoxBot.me for analysis, which makes it a really straightforward process for a researcher, and really reduces like the burden on the analysis, and makes it a great way to gather really rich insights from community members.
Perfect. Thanks, Rick. So now what I want to do is just briefly walk you through that analysis and share process, and show you how easy we've made working with video. And for anyone who's on the call who's an existing Fuel Cycle customer, if you after this call you want to reach out to your account manager, customer success person, they'd be very happy to set up a time to walk you through this in a bit more detail and show you that. Obviously, I'm going to kind of just touch on it at a high level and show you some of the key features. So I'm just going to pull us into the portal, and we can kind of dive straight in. So this is the VoxBot.me portal, and this is, as Rick said, the videos that were captured within your Fuel Cycle community. When you tick that box to say enable VoxBot.me, they're going to come straight into the platform. and they're going to be in here, and they're going to be under a project named exactly what you've called the project within Fuel Cycle. As the videos come into the VoxPopMe platform, a number of things happen. So this is a number of consumers talking about Strongbow cider. So when the videos come into the platform, the first thing that happens is that they are transcribed. This transcription process is human transcription, and that whole process takes 10 to 15 minutes. So what we get is very, very fast transcriptions that are very, very accurate. We know that there's nothing a researcher hates more than inaccurate video transcriptions that don't make sense and sentences that are all jumbled and things like that. So we've really invested in creating a solution that allows us to process thousands of videos per hour, but with human transcription. So that gives us really accurate transcription. From there, what we wanted to do is, when I'm looking at this video, when I've now got text, okay, how can we make video editing and finding that data as simple as possible? So the next thing after the transcription that happens is the video is time coded. And the reason that we time code the video is because we want to be able to, when I'm looking through these videos and searching for the story within here, I want to be able to maybe pick up a key sentence or a couple of sentences and kind of edit it and build it into a list, because what we're trying to do is ultimately build stories. So when you want to edit video on the VoxPopMe platform and you see something that's of interest, you don't have to remember time codes. You don't have to drag and drop those little tiny kind of handles on the bottom of a video. You just highlight the text, click on add to list, and that's as simple as video editing is within the VoxPopMe platform. I'm just going to add that clip to the list that I've made earlier. Any of the videos that you've got can be filtered by any of the information also we know about that person. So if you think about your Fuel Cycle community, maybe you have existing segmentation, you have product category information, you have age, you have location. If we wanted to look and say, okay, show me all the females 30 to 40 in New York that are talking negatively about this, we can easily dig in and find that information by using these filters. So again, at any point we can filter this video data set down. But one of the big challenges was, okay, I've got all this video, Dave, how do I kind of know what people are talking about? And, the more traditional way of doing something like that would be, a word cloud. But we wanted to kind of take that idea of the word cloud maybe one step further. So what we developed is something called Theme Explorer. And what Theme Explorer helps you do is really understand what are the different themes and topics that are coming out of this video. And you'll notice that under each theme, there's also a sentiment as well. So I can also understand, okay, what are people, based on this, are they talking positively? Are they talking negatively about those themes? Because of the way all this data is time coded and theme coded, we can really dive in and find some stuff. So, one of the themes that's come out of here is pretty and cute. So with the theme of cute, we've got 4 videos, we've got 5 different responses. If I drop and drive into that, what it's now going to do, it's not just going to go, oh, here's all the videos that mention cute. The system's automatically on the fly edited those videos for you and is going to give you those video responses. So you can see here that it's picked up the exact thing. They're small, they're easy, they're cute. I love Strongbow cider, and I love the cans. They're cute, they're tiny. It's found all those utterances. At any point, I can say, okay, what was the full response? What was the context of this within the full response? And what was the bit around this subject cue? And again, at any point, I can just add this to this list of kind of cute videos. So I'm going to just add this in now. So really quick and fast to find that. What you'll also see is when you're in the response view, you can also start to kind of overlay that sentiment just on the responses here as well. So you can kind of start to look at, okay, a very quick visual scan. I can see, okay, where's the negative things? Where are the positive things as well? So makes it nice and quick to find that data. And there's some other things in there. And as I said, if you'd like a more in-depth demo on that side of things, then speak to your customer success person. Finally, we talked about building this story. So I added a couple of clips there to that list that we were building called Webinar Queue. And what we're able to do now is we're able to turn this into the 1-2 minute video that we're going to share with our stakeholder around this. So I've got the different videos in there. I've actually already gone in before this call and I've added a logo in and things like that. So I can start to add logo slides, text slides, maybe data visualizations from an existing project. So you can really start to build out a story. We're seeing so many clients now where they're ditching the PowerPoint report. The report is, here's the 5-minute video. These are the key themes that came out. Here's the key data points. Here's the consumer telling it in their own words. And again, at any point, if we want to change this and we want to have Alex first, I can just drag and drop. If, Sherry's comment is a little bit short, maybe we want to add a little bit more context. So actually, I think they're really cute. I would definitely buy them, especially if I'm having a party. That probably adds a little bit more context to that statement. So I can just, again, update that. I haven't got to go dig around, remember what her name was, go and find a video, update it, download it again. All of this can be developed and built on the fly. And then finally, when I'm ready to create that show reel to share out with my executive team, I'll click create show reel, and in 10 to 12 seconds, that's going to have built that video. It's actually it can overlay subtitles, we can add captions and data points as well. And this has given us a file that we can see this has popped up now. I can either download, click one button and drop that MP4 into my presentation, or because video can be, make presentations bigger if you've kind of included lots of them, we've made it really easy to one-click share this, to share it out with your executive team, create that show reel page, you can password protect it, and it's going to take you straight to a kind of URL where that video can be easily shared. And this is the video that we just created during that quick thing. It's going to fade the logo in. It's then going to
They're simple.
Show that, and you can see it's pulled in the respondent's first name and their age as well to give that context as well. So that's just a quick kind of 5-minute overview of the functionality and features we've built. And as Rick said, this has been done at the API level, so it's just tick the box within the Fuel Cycle platform, and then you'll be able to click directly from the platform straight into VoxBot.me to analyze and share these videos out. Rick, anything you want to add around that?
Yeah, and just to add, all the profiling data that we collect on Fuel Cycle, whether it comes from like a survey or comes from your CRM data, you can pipe in and apply to, one of these videos. And for an example, you mentioned some of the segmentation around like demographics. But say you're pulling in data, from Salesforce, and you want like past purchase history or like loyalty tier or something like that. That would automatically be applied to the results that you're seeing in VoxBot.me, which really creates like a impactful story, for people to know and understand, what types of users are saying what, or what types of customers are saying what. Within your research project.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
Thinking about trying to see the people behind the data, Rick, maybe you can talk about some of the interesting ways that Fuel Cycle clients are using this within their communities, and then then I'll talk a little bit more about a specific example we've seen with one of our with our clients as to the kind of bit more in depth on the implementation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, really when we think about, how video is being used inside Fuel Cycle, there's really 4 primary use cases for it. Number one is like a video diary. So when I think about this, we work with a large multinational beauty company that does a large amount of video diaries, especially for product development and product testing. And so we know that pulling in, this video when they're doing 50 or 100 videos per diary study really enables analysis at scale. Product development is another, kind of key theme when users are testing products, especially like in a real world environment, ends up being really valuable to add context to, propensity to purchase scores and things like that. In market testing, so when somebody is out and about and, is in a specific location, they have the ability to pull up the Fuel Cycle app and to check in to a specific location using our geolocation functionality, and then share an experience, whether it's in a store, in a hotel, or at an event. That ability is always there and present. So you get like the real world on the ground insights that you wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. And the key thing is, really this is all very interesting. But Dave, as we kind of mentioned at the top of the webinar, it's really important for us to understand the actual impact that this integration and video enables us to have. So I think you have a story that you're going to be able to share that talks about the actual business impact of video and video analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of kind of how it could impact a business, this is a study that we did with Clorox, and it was all around trying to understand the particular kind of subsegment of their market, trying to understand how kind of African American grilling habits, particularly in the south of the U.S. And trying to kind of over-indexing on charcoal usage and on why there was that kind of why that was, why were they using certain types of charcoal versus other types of charcoal, and to try and also truly understand like that grilling moment, those moments of truth around when they're hosting a party, who's doing what, who's there, what are they cooking, why are they cooking it, why do they pick particular brands. So it was really to try and further that product development side of things. So it was looking at recent grilling occasions. It was looking at those, the fact that there was that preference for charcoal. What was driving that, and talking about specific kind of product experiences. So it was 60 respondents. They were asked to record 3 video responses each. Kind of each video response was dedicated towards each one of these kind of core objectives. And this is a self-serve video study. Once they set this up with their community, they picked their questions. Again, they were able to then, stage one, they designed their questions and who they wanted to target within their community. Within the 24-hour period, they got the 60 respondents that did the 3 videos each. And then, using the VoxBotMe's automated analytics, it was very easy for them to identify key themes, key associations, understand the language of their consumer, because that was a big blind spot for them. How were these people talking about these events? How are these people talking about things? So it really gave them a much deeper and richer understanding of that. And then finally, they were able to create very, very quickly highlights reels that were used in multiple different ways. So they were used across the business to further understanding of the product development and insights team. But actually, they were also used by when they were talking to their kind of merchandising team and their retail partners as to, I know one of the things that came out of this was why do we need to stock multiple different types of charcoal, and actually being able to bring this story to life and show real consumers was able to really impact and influence their ability to kind of influence their key stakeholders in that as well. So there was a number of different takeaways that came out of the video that I think if this hadn't have been done with a kind of video at the core of it, maybe wouldn't have come out. So the first was definitely around that natural language, because people are talking rather than typing. They just, it's much more natural the way they talk about these things. So, they talk about cookout rather than grilling, grilling, maybe a big term used in other parts, whereas within this particular audience, the term cookout was used, over and over again, repeatedly. Obviously, we were able to do the targeting and be very specific around that, and again, making up for their kind of lack of local representation in these specific locations. But again, what video also brought was that ability to quantify. So things that were typically hard to quantify or we did never have asked about. These topics around, why were people using wood pellets around, flavor enhancements? What was, some of the things where people had got wrong? What were some of the things that took away the taste of things and that? But ultimately, I think that, the key thing was the compelling nature of this video to multiple stakeholders throughout the process, as I said, from product to marketing to the kind of end supply chain. The videos were able to be used in multiple different ways to bring people to life, and this, I think this is really an example that really kind of, we see this again and again and again. The more that you can get closer to the customer, the more you can kind of dive in and lean in with multiple video tasks into a particular topic. You can really start to understand that customer quickly, because you've got so much rich data that now you're not having to comb through manually. That you can the Theme Explorer gives you those shortcuts to find things out. Rick, over to you. Oh, and just actually one point. Oh yeah, well, sorry. Yeah, carry on.
No. Go right ahead. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. So one final thing to share, and it wouldn't be a video presentation unless we had some video on it. What I wanted to share with you was just Kendra Peters, who is the Global Insights Manager for the Kingsford brand, recorded a short video, I guess, to share her experience of what video meant to them and what their stakeholders thought. So I'm just going to quickly flick and play that for you. Now.
At Clorox, we really value data, which is a great thing, but I think sometimes it's hard to really showcase the impact of that data. So within our own four walls, with our leadership teams, we've been able to take that data to the next level and showcase consumers actually articulating those points out of their own mouth, but also with retailers, with buyers, really being able to showcase that the strategy is worth investing in, and here's why, because this is what is rooted in the consumer needs. So video is an incredibly powerful tool, and VoxPopMe has nailed that intersection between the depth and color brought to life with video and the convenience and ease of a quick turn solution that is incredibly convenient.
Hey, great video, Dave. And I think that really highlights the importance of influence.
Carl, would you like to be American?
Sorry about that.
The autoplay, right?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So, I think, that video is especially powerful because it really highlights the kind of message that we started with, the importance of storytelling and enabling insights to bring the customer to life, or bringing the customer to life and finding ways to influence C-suite and decision makers, because, really numbers and charts are everywhere. And at Fuel Cycle, we are, big believers in the value of big data and integrating lots of different data sources, whether it's quantitative or qualitative. And the key thing here is that, we see an opportunity for market researchers and customer experience pros to start using video in a meaningful way that is actually scalable, efficient, and enables them to do more with the integration that we have available between Fuel Cycle and VoxPopMe.
I think one thing, just to add to that, Rick, I think one of the biggest things that we've seen is come out from the Clorox experience has been, in terms of the reach of these videos, is, they're, as an organization, they want to put the customer at the heart of all of their decision making, which a lot of companies talk about, and not every company, maybe some companies are better than others at doing that. But the CMO showed the Clorox CEO some of these videos from it was a different study, and off the back of that now, all around their offices in Oakland, they have on constant loop videos that have been captured via VoxPopMe of their consumers talking about their experiences with different products, because it makes the whole organization, as they're walking past different things, whereas before it might have had different sales metrics and things like that on, they want to be constantly thinking and constantly innovating in their category around those consumer needs. So, that was this kind of direct request from the CEO to put this content there. So I think it just really showcases how different brands are thinking about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Forrester Research, big CMO and marketing advisory firm, really calls the era that we're living in the age of the customer. And I can't think of a better way to start bringing, all this information to life than using video and able to share that with the C-suite. So it's a great story. And with that, I think that concludes our formal presentation, and we can move to questions. Looks like there's a few questions rolling in. Ashley, do you have any queued up for us?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Dave. That was a really great presentation. And so, like Rick said, now we're going to open it up to the Q&A section. So we do have a few kind of lined up to start with, but I want to remind anybody, if you have any questions, you can either submit them via the question or chat box on the GoToWebinar interface. But I'm going to start here. So the first couple are definitely going to be for Dave, and our questions more related to VoxPopMe. But so Kelly asks, does VoxPopMe qualify responses? For example, do they make sure that the videos are long enough, answer the question, or in order for them to get the incentive?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, guys. So yeah, there's as part of the process, there's a QA process that comes through. So they have to have answered the question. They have to, typically we recommend the minimum is they talk for at least 15 seconds. Again, the minimum and the max length can be controlled. And then also, we need to be able to see their face, and they need to have made an attempt to do that. So the way that QA process works, the videos are QA'd as soon as they're uploaded. And again, it's, that's a very quick process. And what it means is that, if you've got captured, 60 videos and 5 of them are kind of rejected from a quality perspective, then that will only kind of be charged for those ones that are actually usable and end up in your account. The ones that get declined are still available to you. They're just hidden from the kind of standard view and the standard reporting, but you can find them if you want them.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dave. So we also have another question from Nicholas that asks, what kind of project would you typically run or consider most effective with communities? Rick, I think that's probably a good question for you to take.
Yeah. So Nicholas, great question. So far within Fuel Cycle, we see really those kind of 4 primary use cases that I talked about beforehand, where there's a lot of product testing, product evaluation, and then kind of location-specific customer experience type work. So an example of that would be like somebody checks in at a supermarket, using geolocation, and they walk up and down the soup aisle and share their feedback and thoughts around maybe ways that the soup aisle is organized or something along those lines. And so really when it goes, but I think video is industry agnostic. So we see an uptick in B2B communities utilizing video for feedback, as well as increased growth in financial services and healthcare as well. So it's not just limited to retailers or people developing products. Those products can be services as well.
Great.
Yeah, and we also see a lot of work on kind of ad testing space as well, like the feedback around ads, either later stage qualitative evaluation or even early stage ideation as well.
Yep.
Great, thank you guys. So I have another question from Beth that asks, what type of equipment or software are consumers required to have to complete a video interview? Maybe Dave, if you can start by answering that question.
Yeah, so I mean, so in terms of what's required, any smartphone with a camera, any tablet device, almost all laptops have webcams based in them now. So clearly the device needs a camera from a hardware perspective, and then from a software, any modern browser, mobile browser or desktop browser, going back probably in the last 4 or 5 years, will be able to record this video. So it's not like they don't need to have anything. It's hardware and software that we see probably 98% of consumers, being able to do this, if not higher.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the Fuel Cycle side, that's 100% our experience as well. There's really no specialized equipment or software to install or anything like that. It's just if you got a camera and you have a browser, which every smartphone and most computers do, then you should be good to go.
Just add to that as well. I think less as a hardware and software thing, but more as a cultural shift. I think we truly live in the age of video now. It's the Snapchat generation, the Instagram, Facebook Live, FaceTime, Skype. People are just so much more comfortable doing this type of activity than they were even 5 years ago when we started VoxPopMe. It was rare where people were a bit shy or whatever, and things like that. So I think there's been a huge cultural shift in the acceptance of video as well, which is also means this methodology can work even better.
Wonderful.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys. So we have one more question from Lauren, and she asked, can you capture videos from users under 18?
This is a great question. And so I'm going to say something. I'm going to add a caveat. So really, you should work with your company's legal department to answer that question, because different organizations have different guidelines around how they're using video and how they use photos of minors. And the regulations vary from Europe to the U.S. to Canada to elsewhere. And so really like that's going to come down to a conversation with your legal counsel. That being said, like in the U.S. at least, guidelines around like COPPA are very, very important, and the fines are astronomical if you don't comply with those. And so typically when you are using video for minors, it needs to be with explicit parental approval and screen through and with a parent in order to use that. And really, like, your legal counsel is going to be the best source of information for how your organization wants to use video.
Great. Dave, if you don't have anything to add, then with that, I'm going to close out this webinar and quickly share just both you guys' contact information with the audience. So just in case, if anybody has any follow-up questions or would like a demo of either Fuel Cycle or VoxPopMe or both, you can get in contact directly with Rick or Dave. And with that, I just want to thank both you, Rick and Dave, for this is a great presentation. You shared so many great insights about how, brands can really utilize video to better understand their consumers, to better serve them. Because like you both said, we really are living in the age of the customer. So thank you guys so much for taking your time and sharing all this information with our audience.